Welcome to the Murfreesboro.com podcast, where we talk about all things Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Join host John I. Carey, his co-host Jonathan Harmon, and producer Trent Denson as they talk about all the great things happening in our city. From construction updates to local business spotlights to all the amazing events happening in our community. Listen in for all you need to know from Murfreesboro.com. Welcome to the show.
All right, there we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Murfreesboro.com podcast. We have two wonderful guests with us today. And, I did this last week, too. I skipped it. John I. Carey here. Sorry. Jonathan Harmon over there.
Good morning.
Jeff over behind the camera. And then producer Trent over there. And our two wonderful guests. Sorry, I skipped ourselves last time, so I got to do our intro. We have Jessica, cue the intro music. Supakhan, right? Did I pronounce that right?
You did. Good
okay,
morning.
Good deal. And Miss Jennifer Courtney,
Hello.
Correct? Awesome.
Yes.
And y'all are principal and counselor of the second year running now?
Second year running.
Rutherford County Virtual School.
That's right.
All right, awesome, cool. Well, thank you for joining us. I know when y'all first opened and we made the initial post, there were lots of questions and people very interested. And because it would just happen to be coincidental timing, right? With COVID, it wasn't because of COVID.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
There were plans to open a virtual school for several years, and then COVID just kind of fast tracked it.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, perfect timing.
Yeah.
There you go. So, but so I'm just curious. We get into y'all real quick before we talk about the school. You're principal.
I am.
So, is this your first time as principal, or
It is.
Okay.
A little background. I started as a business teacher at Central before it was a magnet school, back when it was a middle school, and then I taught at Holloway High School for 11 years after Central.
Okay. So what was the transition? They just, you wanted to try it? They were opening it up, the spot was there? Like, how'd that work?
They opened up. I had taught virtual classes before. I had done some adjuncting at Motlow, and so I knew the struggle of getting students to get the work done when they're at home, and really, building a strong communication base with parents and students because of it. So it just seemed like a good fit.
Okay. Awesome.
So when I came in, y'all were already here. I was running late. See, I admit it. It's okay.
I was going to say it.
That's okay. I own my mistakes. But I said, you look really familiar, and I think I just figured out where it is. So I taught at Blackman High School. I taught business classes there, and I have a business education master's from MTSU. Nice. And so I bet you, because I taught econ and business management at Blackman when you were teaching business as well.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm sure we were in a collab of some sort at some point.
For sure.
Aha. There we go.
I knew it.
Now we got it.
Yeah. Mine like a steel trap.
That's
it
right.
just
You
lets certain pieces escape. That's all.
Well, we're guys. It's pretty simple. Just a little trickle here and there. Yeah. Women's minds they can multitask. We can't. So
that's hilarious. Yeah.
And then we got Mrs. Courtney.
Yes.
As well. Jennifer Courtney, excuse me. And you're counselor.
I am.
Correct? Yeah. I'm curious. How does that being virtual with the counselor, does that have any?
Well, a school counselor is not, you don't get to talk to one-on-one to the kids as much as, there's a lot more that is into school counseling. So we, work on transcripts and college acceptance and that kind of stuff. So it's a lot more of that, a lot less talking to students, especially in the virtual world. So,
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you always been a counselor, or how'd that?
I was an English teacher, high school English teacher for a few years. I was trying to think how long I've been a counselor. It's about 17 years.
Oh, wow.
So,
No kidding.
Yeah. Yep. So I was actually with Dr. Supakhan at Holloway, and then she brought me on board.
Oh, that's perfect.
School.
Oh, there you go.
Cool.
So how is it? How are things going? You're over close to 500 students now, right?
We are. We opened last year with 200, and then this year we moved up to 470, just shy of 500.
Nice.
What's the official capacity?
We don't really have one. Our elementary and middle school grades, those are capped because we have to follow the state guidelines, and we only have one third, fourth, and fifth grade teacher, so those are right around 30. But high school is uncapped.
All right, so hang on a second. I didn't realize you just said something. I thought it was just like a virtual high school, but is it K-12?
3 through 12.
3 through 12. Wow.
Yep.
Okay, I did not realize that.
Yeah, I remember when you sent over the info. I actually thought the same thing. I thought it was more for high school. Oh no, much broader.
So I guess I guess I have all kinds of questions. So
see, here they come.
Hold on to your hats. I told ladies. You. I have all kinds of questions. So this is through Rutherford County Schools, right? And you said they were working on this kind of anyway, but pre-COVID. What was before COVID? What was the reason to work on a third grade through high school, through the end of high school, virtual school? Why? What was the initiative?
So we were one of the fewer or the last large districts to implement it. So Williamson County, Metro, Knoxville, all of those counties had already implemented one. And there's just a variety of reasons. I mean, naturally, high school would have one just because of the flexibility. It's very similar to a college online course.
Well, it's similar to Holloway, right? It's just another alternative to get a kid across the finish line. Right. So Holloway, when I was in high school, Holloway and Daniel McKee, that's where the bad kids went. And that's just not the case now. Right. It is now, there's this option, and there's this option, and there's this option. So it's just an option.
Right. Well, and Holloway wasn't an alternative school. It never has been because I graduated from there.
Right.
So I wasn't.
That was the perception. When I was in,
right. A perception.
No, but when I was in high school, that was the perception. Right. Oh, they went to Holloway,
Yeah.
And that's just what I have learned since is that's just plain false.
Right. It's a choice school.
Right.
And we're a choice school. You still have your alternative schools of Smyrna West and Daniel McKee, and those students are sent there. But we're just another choice school. We've got several elementary choice schools. You've got Campus School and McFadden and Thurman Francis, but now we've added to that mix. But for elementary and middle school grades, a lot of our parents choose virtual if they wanted to homeschool their kids, and they got down to it, and they say, oh, I don't really want to try to master this curriculum. So we are the option. They still have their safety or whatever reason they want to keep their kids at home. But we're providing the curriculum, we're providing the teachers, we're providing the grading. It's just a more flexible schedule.
So how do you keep track of the students? Meaning, we've all been on one of those Zoom calls where you're like, all right, mute, and it's just like, do they check in online? Do they stay on a webcam with you, or how's that work exactly?
So the two educational buzzwords in virtual now are synchronous and asynchronous.
Okay.
So synchronous is when you're on a Zoom or a live class session with your teacher. Asynchronous is here's all the curriculum, you do it on your own, turn it in, it gets graded.
Okay.
So elementary is synchronous, meaning they're all on there with their class every day, Monday through Thursday. We try to compress that down into a half a day. That way the parents have flexibility with the second half of their day. So it is mandatory, required 8:30 to 11:30 is class time. And then the second half of the day is when they do those assignments. Anything that would get done in class, they do that at the end, and it's just that direct teaching compressed into a half a day schedule.
Okay.
Gotcha. Can kids come in and out of the school? So I can see a situation. Of course, when I was in high school, you had the kids that got mono, and they were out for, for a huge block of time, a month, 2 months, whatever. Can they roll into the virtual school during that time and then roll back out? Is it?
No.
You're either in or you're not. Okay.
We tell parents to give us a year-long commitment just to keep, everything running smoothly. Our teachers, it would create just such a craziness if they had kids coming and going.
Sure.
So we tell parents, give us a 1-year commitment. If they get in and they feel like, oh, this isn't the right fit for my child, we say, at Christmas break is a good time to transition back, or the end of the school year.
I gotcha.
And what about, obviously it's still Rutherford County schools, so they still need to be a Rutherford County resident. What if you have a situation where someone is, maybe they split their residency somewhere, mom lives here and dad lives wherever, would it be a good fit for that kid?
It would. We've got some kids whose parents live out of state. And so, one girl last year, her dad lived in Florida, and she would only see him on, those extended leaves. She was able to go down for a month and spend it with her dad and then come back. So it's good for students. They can travel with their parents, as long as they log on.
But their home base still has to be in Rutherford, because it's still a Rutherford County school.
Well,
right?
we actually accept out-of-county students now.
Really?
Oh, okay.
So they do need to be in Tennessee. They do have to commit to coming in for state testing. So TCAPs and EOCs, but we can accept out of county.
Really? That is interesting. Is there a fee associated with that if they're out of county?
No.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking off camera when we were talking earlier. I love, obviously, thank you all for what you do being educators and everything.
Absolutely.
You are welcome.
Being the virtual school, just initial thought, I know when we went back and forth, I'm like, oh, okay, it's because of COVID. No, not necessarily. But you're opening up a door to kids that may not have ever been there before. Like I loved how we were talking about the young lady we featured before who was, she opened up her own Brazilian jiu-jitsu studio. But that being virtual school allows her to do that, and her parents are extremely supportive of that. And then you said you have a champion ice skater as well, right? And then, but that allows her to practice and whatnot, so she can still get her work done. She's still getting a good education,
right?
But it's allowing these kids to explore these other options that they may not have had,
right?
And because now they have the time. I mean, that's so cool. We need, like I said, we need to go back and forth on it. Have some of these kids on here. That'd be really cool.
That would be awesome. Yeah. That would be awesome. And I think that's the brilliance of it. Then when you started working on it, is the just an option, right? And again, a choice school, like you said, Holloway's a lot the same, where there's options as to when you go. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there some different times that you can go, and then there's work associated with that, and like how did that work?
Well, go ahead.
No, I would just, they're on a block schedule, a 4x4 block schedule, and we are as well. So it's more like college semesters. So it allows you to graduate in December if you're a senior and you're finishing up your credits, as we do that also. So, I mean, there's some options. There was night school. They have
That's
recently,
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was, I think they stopped night school 2 years ago, maybe. Okay. But
I'm
that
slow.
was a really
Sorry.
good option. No, it's good.
But I knew that was a thing, because I knew I had a friend whose kid went, and then he was actually able to start an apprenticeship program in the daytime, and he's an HVAC guy now.
Right.
And I mean, he's making a lot of money doing HVAC work, but he did it because he could apprentice at 17 years old. He could start kind of that beginner stuff because he didn't have to be in school in the mornings.
Yeah.
Well, what about things like gym class? I'm just curious. Do they have to mark like physical activity and stuff like that?
It is a state requirement, even for virtual schools, to have a PE class and a full-time PE teacher. So we have ours. He's got a wide lens camera, and he'll have those kids get up on their Zoom screen and do physical activities with them.
Oh, see, I'd love that one. Down and give me 50.
That's like what's that mirror thing that the guy that
the guy on the commercial? It's tonal or something, whatever it's called.
Where it's
right?
got the huge mirror and you work out with anyway.
Very similar. Very similar.
Have a drill sergeant in your house. 50 jumping jacks. Go.
Hit them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's cool. Now I'm a little curious on something. I'm gonna put you all on the spot a little bit if you don't mind. Just because I remember, like I said, with the initial announcement, there were so many questions from the public and stuff like that. What kind of pushback do you get off of doing something like this, and what is the public response that you all have dealt with? I'm just curious.
I'd say any pushback we've gotten would be that kids can't learn as well in a virtual setting as they can in person, and that's something we hear, quite frequently, and something that I've told our teachers, use that as your rally cry, because they can learn just as well. We have come to find out through testing. But a lot of kids don't operate well in a large school setting. And when you think about how large the high schools are now, you've got...
They're all 2,000 kids-ish.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
1,800 to 2,200 kids.
100%. So our largest growing population, in the beginning was COVID. And now that COVID's subsided, our largest growing population is kids with anxiety.
Really?
Students that shut down when they get in large crowds, and, we're making not as well of grades as they would at home. And now we see them just thriving at home. A lot of parents who put their kids on distance learning because of COVID, went over to us this year and said, we never saw, how well they could do as they did when they were on distance learning.
Well, it removes a barrier, right? So, I am not, like you put me in a group and that's where I thrive, right? But there's a whole lot of people that are the exact opposite of me. And you put them in a group, and they're
You're
toast,
doing wonderful.
Man. They just don't do it.
Right.
And they're so wrapped up in just functioning in the group that they're. It's almost like the brain doesn't allow space to think about whatever the actual task is. And and it's not wrong. It's not bad. It's just different, and that's okay. So
if you think about our younger grades, they have not had a normal year of school. You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
That's a
our third
great
grade
point.
and fourth graders,
Yeah.
their last normal year of school may have been kindergarten or
Maybe.
preschool, and they don't know
Yeah.
what the pre-COVID norm was. And so, you know, a lot of those students, you know, they pulled out because of COVID, and they've done remarkably well, and their parents are like, well, let's just keep doing this, you know. So.
Yeah, that's a great point.
One thing I saw from like Lisa Trail and James Evans and you know, with COVID and everybody going home, and then there was, you know, everybody got super antsy and they wanted to go back to school and all this, and then they went back to go, no, I did better at home. And so like, it was kind of like, oh, the flood goes back to school. Great. No, the flood's coming back again, you know, or, you know, the wave backwash, whatever they call it. But is that are you seeing that too?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of those that just don't do well in a large group setting. And then just a lot of parents that really decided they wanted to keep their kids with them.
Yeah.
So we're getting in some students back into Rutherford County that otherwise would be homeschooling, some that had chose some of those other virtual school platforms, and they really want to keep their kids on a Rutherford County schedule. You know, we're accredited, so that's a benefit. Some homeschools aren't accredited.
Yeah.
And we do the standardized testing that, you know, they might need those scores if they want to apply to a different school later on.
Okay.
So how big can it get?
All the above, right?
Right.
Like
Well-
how many students realistically, and obviously there's staffing, right? But realistically, how many students can you, specifically you, and the system, the process that you've created, how many students can you accommodate, really?
Realistically, elementary has to be capped. We only have the one teacher. If we were to get enough, you know, it would be up to the county to decide if they want to fund a second teacher. But right now, right around 500 to maybe 1,000 would be the max. Something that I recently presented was that if we do it well, we can grow, you know, exponentially. But we have to do it well. We have to, you know, staff the appropriate teachers. But
Because not every teacher is cut out for this either.
right.
I have been a teacher, and there's I mean, I've done it. I've taught the contracts class for MTAR virtually, and it was awful. I mean, I am not gifted at that at all. You know, I got bored with myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting here going, God, this is terrible. I can't imagine what they're feeling on the other side of the screen.
Also, from an outside perspective, looking into the school, you think you get them enrolled, you set them, start them going, and you know, I thought, what does a counselor do all day? You know, what does a principal do once they're in school? But it's, you know, staying on them. You know, you assume that the parents are gonna stay on their students and get them going, but it takes a lot of, you know, daily phone calls. She is full on in the trenches with the teachers and myself, and you know, making phone calls every day, like, hey, Johnny, you haven't worked in 3 days, what's going on, you know? So it from an outside perspective, you think, well, you could have 10,000 students, but really, I mean, with the amount of faculty members that we have, you know, if we're going to do it well, if we're going to make those phone calls, if we're going to stay on and check these students every day, which we do every day, you know, then it's.
But you could have 10,000 students with appropriate staffing.
Right. Absolutely.
Nice. Now, I'm curious on the, as far as the teacher side and with what y'all deal with, how do I word this? I'm trying to figure out okay, so like if you go to school, physical school, you know, when the kids leave, they're done, right? But afterwards, is there, you know, being virtual, I would imagine the amount of emails and contacts that you get from not only parents but from kids.
Oh, good
question. You know, like if a kid leaves and here's my, you know, if you're at school and, you know, here's my work, I'm done, they go, you don't see them until the next day. So you can talk to them, correct them, but through email and phones and everybody I can imagine.
Does a teacher get to unplug?
Yes, thank you. That's what I was trying to get at. Thank you.
That's why you have a partner.
See, exactly. Is that
the teachers, they'll tell you it feels like their first year of teaching all over again.
Really?
Because there's so much communication that has to take place where otherwise you'd have your class at 30 and you'd say, you know, Johnny, bring this home to your mom. Susie, stay after. We need to talk about something. All of that has to be done in the form of emails. And most of the time they have to copy every parent on it because, you know, elementary and middle school kids, they need their parents copied on everything
For sure.
to ensure that they're doing what the teacher needs them to do.
Yeah.
And then just planning is another thing. You know, what you could do in person would require maybe a third of the amount of planning of virtual, because you have to spell out every single detail that you otherwise could vocalize.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it's a lot of work.
Well, and you miss out on. So I tell people I loved teaching, and I was addicted to the aha moment, right? The light bulb moment. So you're in my case, I was teaching economics. I'm delivering some, small lecture about whatever, and you can just look in a kid's face, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, they just got it.
They got it. Yeah.
And I would think, I'm sure you can still do that, but it's a lot harder, I would think, when you're looking at little squares, to see that they got it. Yeah. And then if you have the same class that you teach like 3 times, right? Like this was me. The morning kids, they got the most energy, but the least information. The afternoon kids got the most information, but the least energy.
Right.
So if I got to do that even more than 3 times, I mean, good gracious, I'd be exhausted.
And you probably, you taught long enough to where you looked and you said, this is what we're going to teach, and you could just teach.
Just go.
And so we have teachers that have taught 20 years and they're still teaching the same subject, but they are back to square one with reinventing how they're going to teach this lesson, because they can't just stand up and lecture for 45 minutes and talk and have communication back and forth. So it's back to square one with you
miss a lot of that nonverbal, which until you go virtual with something, you have no idea how much you actually glean from that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, plus you lose kind of the I remember when I was little, you act up and it's like, I'm going to call your mother. I'm going to get them in here. You're in trouble. Now it's, I'm going to send your mom a very nasty worded email.
Yeah.
No, about what you did. No.
Right. Get your mom on the Zoom.
Yeah. Get her on the Zoom. Or can you be like, if kids acting up, be like, we lost connection. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you've all seen the Zoom, the guy that was the cat, and his filter and what, I mean, there's all that.
You gotta have fun with it. Yeah.
But you see all this in the background. And
come on, kid, put some pants on.
Right. There's been some interesting conversations.
Today's the no pants day. Or was that one teacher who he did a different costume every single day? Did you ever see that one?
No.
Yeah, I saw the video because it started out, he was in the classroom and everybody's obviously at home. But that big blow up dinosaur costume? He did that, and he had like sound effects to it, so it sounded like rah, and stuff. And all you see is a computer and then a whiteboard, and then he comes prancing behind his house. I'm like, what the heck? But it was his thing, and the students loved it.
Don't give her any ideas. I know now you're like,
oh, you totally got to do that. That would be
dress
awesome.
Up week.
That's outstanding.
Yes,
I love that.
Halloween week, best costumes. Yeah.
Do you find kids? So there's a whole lot of stuff that happens, specifically high school, okay? And I guess to some extent middle and elementary as well, but especially high school, the quote-unquote high school experience, right? The football games, the pep rallies, the whatever, the dances, all of that other stuff that has nothing to do with the classroom. Is that, I mean, obviously you can't recreate a football game virtually. I mean, they could watch it on TV or whatever, but is there a loss there? Is that something that you guys collab with another school on? Like, how does that piece of it work?
Well, we do think that any high school experience is really important, and any that we can take on as a school. We're trying to. We're having our first ever prom this year. So, yes, this Friday.
Oh, this Friday.
Yeah, this
Whoa,
Friday.
okay.
I know.
Dang.
Just got stressed.
So that's, we're really excited about that. We feel like that's a marker event that all kids should have the opportunity to attend.
Sure.
High school football games, we just feel like they can attend with their friends. There's some things we won't be able to recreate just because we don't have the students to have a football team.
Sure.
Our students can participate in any sports at their zone schools, though.
Okay.
So that is
can.
something.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
So all virtual school students can attend sports at their zone schools, and so they could go to those games. We have an excellent graduation. We have a 100% graduation rate that we're really proud of.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a large student population that they don't really care about all that extra. They really just want to let me get this, let me get on to this next level, and a lot of them are planning on post-secondary. They want to do some kind of college or university, and they just they're just ready to get through with high school, know.
Right.
Sure. So. Yeah, and I mean, I knew a lot of kids when I was in school that they would skip their junior year, essentially.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just wanted to get done and go on to college.
You're talking to one of those.
And so it was just, let me go to school, let me get through with these classes,
summer class
and move on to MTSU.
And that's why you were a doctor.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
That's exactly.
Cheers,
doctor.
Doctor.
That's exactly
and I didn't know that till this morning, so thank you for
You
pointing that
welcome.
out. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, cool. Well, I'm just curious, is there any other, when you launched the virtual school, were there any other scenarios or different things that came up that you weren't expecting that you're like, oh, wow, look at this. Like, this is great for us.
Everything.
All the things. All the above?
All the things. We learned as we went, it was trial and error. And we're constantly, every month, we're looking at, we'll meet as a group and we'll say, what are we doing that we could do, that we could change and do better. So we're readjusting. Our goal is to be the best. I used to say the best in the state, and now we've started getting our testing data back, and I realize we are very close to being the best virtual school in the state.
Nice.
So now we want to be the best in the nation. We want to be
Set
a
that
model
bar
virtual
high.
school.
Yes, that's awesome.
And one of the things that we did realize that it doesn't matter what school you're in or any job, anything, relationships are so important and key, and having relationships with other faculty members and with students, and that's definitely a challenge that the virtual school has to deal with, is how do we form these relationships with these students? How do we create buy-in from the students when they're in their bedrooms every day, working at home, and they don't have the connections that they, that students do need, So we have clubs, and we have, I know she'll want to talk about Connection Fridays, which is our big way to get students involved. We can get them on campus, but I know you go ahead.
Where is campus?
Thank you.
We have a campus in Smyrna behind John Coleman Elementary School.
Oh,
okay.
It's where our teachers are housed at. We have,
So teachers come in.
They do. They come in, they share a classroom, they've got cubicles. So we do have a site. But we don't really have lots of students on campus. We do here and there. If if students are struggling with their coursework, we say come into school and operate through our learning lab. It's a classroom, to work on their classes. But
do y'all do like field trips and stuff too? Is that still something?
Well, we do what Jennifer started talking
this is her
about.
Baby, so let her
so
talk about
it's called Connection Friday, and last year I formed a parent advisory committee, and I said, what are we doing well? What could we do better? And a large group of our parents said, we love it. We love, all aspects of it, but we would like more opportunities for our kids to connect with others, to socially engage. And so
that's a big part of what's missing from a traditional school.
Right. And so that's where we coined the term Connection Fridays. And so we divide every Friday into 3 chunks, an elementary, middle, and high school chunk. And we just do different opportunities for students to get together. We have gone bowling. We've gone, 4-H sponsors us.
Nice.
So twice a month we meet at Lane Agri Park, and we do archery, and we do cooking classes, and they're always optional, and parents have to provide transportation, but it's just an opportunity for kids to connect to others, to connect with their teacher, and for parents to socialize together.
It's a pretty good response to that. I mean, pretty good participation.
And we're always thinking of, next year we want even more. So we're always looking at ways to make it better.
I imagine the kids would love that. Yeah, so that's probably something they look forward to, I'd imagine. So, and that's every Friday?
Every Friday. Okay. So they'll do their asynchronous work on Fridays, and then if they want to, they'll participate in that. We try to provide a virtual option as well for the kids that can't come, because we do have some medically fragile students. But
sure.
It's just a day to, connect with others.
That was actually something I was going to touch on earlier. Thanks for saying that. You said medically fragile, so you have another one of those doors that open for students that may not necessarily be able to go to school now that they're right there with everybody.
Right. A lot of those kids would be on homebound at their traditional school, but because we are all virtual, they're able to still participate.
Yeah.
That's
I'm sure there's
cool.
many doors that have opened that we can't even think of or talk about. So that's one of them. But but sorry to jump forward a little bit, but y'all aren't you enrolling now? Or
we are.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
We are. We have an open enrollment until the end of the month. So
till the end of April. Okay,
the end of April.
How do people find more information, contact you, all that sort of stuff?
If they get on our website, you can Google search Rutherford County Virtual School, or the web address is RCSO for Rutherford County School Online, rcso.rcschools.net.
Okay.
It's right there on the website.
Okay. So you've got 470 students right now. Let's pretend that for the next school year, you get 1,000 people that want to be there. Will you grow with that, or will you turn kids away?
It all depends on if we get the, additional funding positions.
Did you turn kids away this year?
We had a lot of applicants, and we do have some criteria. So not every student would be successful at the virtual school. Okay. And that's what I tell parents, if they say, well, why did my kid not get accepted? It's the same analogy if you were a freshman at MTSU and you're meeting with your advisor. If you had failed all your classes or done, pretty poorly, your advisor wouldn't say, well, let's put you in a bunch of online classes. They would say, you need to be in person with your teachers to build those skills. Mm-hmm. So our students do have to have a lot of self-management with their time. They have to be able to take some asynchronous work and work through it on their own without prodding from a parent at home.
So how do you determine that if they've been in a classroom the whole time? Because what you guys said earlier is maybe they just don't do well in a group setting.
Right.
But, so their grades are abysmal.
Right.
But then you stick them online and they take the anxiety piece of it away, and all of a sudden they thrive.
Right.
So how do you vet that out?
For the most part, we're going to look at a lot of collective things. We're going to look at their grades. We're going to look at their attendance. We have parents state in the application why they want to be a virtual school student. So we're going to really look at all those different pieces to the puzzle, and
that has been something that we have, the other end of the spectrum, they make fantastic grades and they have their whole career, and then they get in the virtual school and don't do well.
That would be me.
Right.
I couldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I took 2 classes that were, this was years ago at MTSU, that were not in person, and I just didn't do well. Mm-hmm. I made an okay grade, but it was hard. I didn't do that well. It was not for me.
Mm-hmm. And this is why there are so many choices. We're very fortunate here, because there are all types of students, all types of learners, and now choice. So.
Okay. Is it something that you recommend, like, everybody try out, or like you said, maybe it's just not for everybody, and
I wouldn't say necessarily that everybody try it out. I think that it has to fit a family's unique needs.
Got it.
Right.
For elementary and middle school, we do require that there's a parent or guardian at home with their child, just because those students need supervision to stay on track, to, wake up on time for their class Zooms.
Right. Put clothes on.
Yes. We do require that they get dressed and they sit up. They're not in bed. They have to have their Zoom camera on. So there's a lot of expectations that go with it as well.
I'm curious, do you have parents that may not necessarily be able to stay home, and then they take the kids to work with them or something, and they work cool. Again, one of those doors that open helps them out. So.
That's right.
Okay.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah.
I remember when we first shut everything down and everybody just switched over to Zoom. So not necessarily virtual school, but everybody went virtual, right? Mm-hmm. There was a lot of discussion about being on a Zoom call and the problems that presented, specifically with wealth gap issues and things like that, where kid was embarrassed to have their camera on, those types of scenarios. Have you guys encountered that? Is that, and if you have, how do you, or maybe they don't have adequate equipment or whatever, internet. I remember all the high schools turned hotspots on in their parking lots, so that kids could come and work in the parking lot, which was weird to me, but hey, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Do what you got to do. That's right.
Have you encountered any of those kinds of issues?
When we do, we deal with it as it comes. We do provide a laptop to any student that needs one.
Oh, nice.
We have some mobile hotspots. If a family needs one of those, we can issue one of those as a loaner. And then something we recommend, if a student feels embarrassed of their background, there's virtual backgrounds now.
Right.
We use them as a faculty,
Really?
A very professional office setting
Oh,
behind
you're not on the
you.
beach or something?
There's filters, they make tan. tan, and there's all kind of good stuff
I would
now.
use
Is there one that gives me hair?
Right, yeah.
Can I have one that gives me hair?
Yes, absolutely. Sunglasses, I mean, full on.
I would totally use those filters. That'd be so fun.
They're fun. But something we talked about next year is maybe doing just a school background, kind of like be the school uniform background.
Sure.
Right.
Just to keep everything more uniform. It would help the students to focus in.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
See, another one of those opportunities. I just think that's so cool what you're doing and what you offer and how it can really help to enrich kids' lives that otherwise may not be embarrassed or don't have access to something or something like that. You're providing it for them. So I think that's a wonderful thing y'all are doing. So.
We do too.
We do too.
That's right. That's why you're doing it. That's right. That's awesome. So how many, I'm not sure if we touched on this earlier, how many teachers you have in total?
We've got a faculty of 20.
20. Handling 470 students. Y'all are machines. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's impressive. Dang. Okay. And they all go to the office and teach from there? Okay. I'm going to have to come check that out.
You need to.
Yeah, for
seriously.
sure. I'd
That'd
love
be
to see
neat.
that. No special endorsements or anything like that. I mean, they're just regular old teachers that are approaching it from a different angle.
They are.
Okay.
Learning new things every day.
Yeah.
You know, we always say we're reimagining the educational process because this is the way of the future.
Right.
Yeah. For sure.
You know, so many people decided to, go home because of COVID, and now entire workplaces and corporations decided it's more economical to stay at home.
Yeah.
Right.
You look at State Farm, and so
Yeah.
I always tell parents, we're preparing your child for the next stage. When they go to college, if they start making a low grade, what do you tell them? Well, email or go see your professor. Get on their office hours, go book them for a one-on-one, and all of those things we implement in the school now.
Yeah.
So whenever a kid, even in 6th grade, is struggling with a math concept, we say, well, book your teacher.
Yeah.
Email your teacher, get on their office hours. So just being proactive at such a young age, 11 and 12-year-olds doing those things that otherwise adults would do is greatly preparing them for the next step of life.
Well, I love teaching self-reliance. I love that. So that's that. Yeah. Okay.
And I recently read a statistic: 51% of college freshmen take at least one online class at their freshman year of college these days. So,
I would have expected that to be higher, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that just ours will be ready for that, because that's a new thing. I know we had to do it, and it's a totally different world.
Dear God, I'm glad I don't have to.
See, I wish there's some were offered when I went to MTSU. Just like a couple years ago when I went to MTSU.
You're younger than me, dude.
Yeah, it was like 2 decades ago. But anyways, but even then, I've been thinking like my work schedule and things I was doing, and I had night classes and different things like that. But a virtual class would have been much appreciated back then.
Well, I'll give you an example. When I got right towards the end of getting close to graduating, there was one class. It's the story of our lives, right? One class. It's only offered one time, one semester, every other year. On the vernal equinox and the whatever. You know what I mean? And guess what? It was at Columbia State University. So it wasn't even at MTSU. It was an MTSU class at Columbia State. So I drove from Murfreesboro to Columbia once a week to take the stupid class that I had to have to graduate.
Was it to keep from having to do virtual classes, or that wasn't the
that
option?
Was it.
Oh, that was it.
Wow.
Really?
That was when it was offered. So if that class had been virtual, I would have absolutely done that.
See, I had one of those, but thankfully it was just a night class. The one day a week from 6 to 9 at night. But
this was too.
Oh, was it
in Columbia?
In Columbia.
Yeah.
No, I was just right down the road, thankfully. But
yeah,
that was the coolest class that I still remember. That the teacher was awesome. I won't get into it because it was a criminal justice class.
I don't remember my class at all. I just remember driving to Columbia at 5 o'clock and driving home at 9:30.
Yeah. All these years later.
I remember the professor. He was trying to remember. He was the head of the juvenile delinquency center, basically. I can't remember the official title for it, but he always had to have his little, walkie-talkie back in the day, on. Yeah. And it would constantly go off, and you would hear things. We're like, what the heck? And he's like, sorry, I got to take this 1 second. But he would do it right in front of the class. And so, but that's what you're there. You're learning about all this stuff, and he's like, I'm just giving you real world experience. But it was the coolest class, but some of the things we heard, I was like, okie dokie.
Right.
I'm going to rethink my
I'm going to think,
I'm
going to go take another class. No, but no, it was definitely a fun class, but awesome. So, I apologize. On the website, you said can they register online as well for the classes?
They can apply.
Okay.
And then I think we said by June 1st, is it, that we will let them know.
Okay.
And then they'll get with the school counselors and they'll start picking out their classes for high school. Right. Elementary and middle, we just put them in their classes.
That is wild, y'all.
Do you foresee each year growing like it has been?
I do. For the most part, we did an intent to return, and I'd say 80% of our families said that they want to return with us.
Yeah.
A lot of them wanted to go back because of those might have been the ones that were with us for COVID. But for the most part, once they're with us, we've got excellent teachers. We've got a really good program.
Right.
We're, trying to every year get better. So we'll do that, advisory group. We meet, I think, today.
Yes.
Oh,
actually.
Gosh. Yeah, busy week this week, don't you?
In 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so we're always asking, what are we doing well? What can we do better? How can you guys, help us grow as a faculty, as a school? But yeah, I see it growing.
Yeah.
I see it evolving. I see, every teacher, every staff member is just has the mindset of we want to be the best. We want to be a model, not just for academics, but for the social experiences as well, and just really providing the best choice school out there.
I got you.
All right, so I know we're getting close here. Dispel any myths. I know one was that shoot, you just said it.
I'm trying to help you.
Yeah, I know you are.
Do it. You can do it.
That kids don't learn as well virtually, right? So what other myths do you need? I love dispelling myths. Don't even get me started on Habitat for Humanity. But anyway, there's so many myths floating around. It's such a great program. But dispel some myths that people might think about the virtual school.
I guess, I guess to the students, that they think that, if I go virtual, then I'm, I don't have to work as hard. I don't have to do as well. I can just, it's definitely
it's
a rigorous
easier.
curriculum. Right,
Yeah.
right. So, for the students to hear that, yes, you are going to have to work just as hard. You might not be sitting in front of a teacher as long, but there's still, we expect them to be in school. We're on the radio, so that works. I'm doing air quotes. Be in school from 8 to 3. Whether you're synchronously learning or asynchronously learning, but it's still a rigorous curriculum. So that's one.
I'd say another one is that they're just robots on there, and that there's no connection. And so every day, every year, we're working on building that connection more and more. Our kids still have their favorite teachers, and we still have spirit nights, and we have family nights where whether they are able to participate on a Connection Friday or not, they're maybe able to go to those family nights, and we go ice skating at the fountains, and we go to the pizza place and do a spirit night, and faculty come, and so
you let me know when pizza night is.
Okay, right. We will.
Pizza's my go-to.
You can have the parents leave the kids at home, and I'll host you guys at the brewery.
Oh,
How about
There you go. Parents night out.
Parents and faculty mixer.
Yep.
Another myth is that when we let out for COVID and parents were having to teach their own children, which was horrible. I don't know if you guys are in that boat or have been in that boat, but it was distance learning is what it was, and that was. It's not distance learning. It's not the same as distance learning. And I've been in education for years, and I about killed my 11-year-old child. When I had to try to teach him fourth grade stuff. And so it's
being
not
in education and being a fourth grade teacher is not the same
unbelievably
thing.
different.
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
So it's if it scares parents away thinking that they are going to have to do the distance learning I did those again, air quotes.
It's all right. Well, people are saying on these, sorry, it's all right. You're good.
Do the distance learning. It's not the same thing. So they don't have to, it's not the thing that we're all still having flashbacks from.
What's funny though is I remember when all that first happened, and then as a parent you realize how much you forget.
Right.
And
yes.
I actually went to school at one point to be an actuary, and so like heavy math. Right now I've just been good at math, but anyways, I remember looking at it and go, I got this. I'll help you out. 2/3 x minus 1/5 y is.
Right.
Oh dear God.
Right.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
And then actuary, you're doing these double integrals and all this blah 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 blah. And I'm like, 2 + 2 is 4.
Mine was more
hang on a
if
second.
you
Let me get my
didn't.
calculator out.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get my let's figure that. Okay, good. We're good.
Mine was more if they didn't get it, I'd be like, that's it. That's the only way I know to tell you.
Right.
I don't understand. Well, you're out of luck then. I don't know what to tell you.
My daughter's in 4th grade, and she, oh my gosh, she has this thing, and she was doing this math, and it was fractions of some sort, and I did the problem. She did the problem, and I did the problem just to check it, and we got a different answer. No, we didn't. We got the same answer. Yeah. And and I looked at what she did, and I went, what the crap did you do?
Right.
Yeah.
New math.
Yeah, what is this new math?
And she goes, well, no, you do this and you do this. And I was like, no, you don't. You just add them.
Right. Yeah.
And she was like, no, that's not what we were told to do. I'm like, oh, well, you're on your own.
It's old school math, Dad.
Kids are getting really smart with that, though, because I remember sitting downstairs and I was working and I'm going, what am I hearing? And I was hearing, it sounded like voices. I'm like, what? And I went up to the top of the stairs and all I hear is, Siri, what's 43 times 212? Boom. I was like, oh, no.
Those are life skills that they're learning.
Right? I was like, resourceful, yes. Kudos, yes, but no.
And for that reason, we have on-site testing.
Oh, do you? Okay.
There you go.
No Siri, no phone, no. Or then they turn to Alexa.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, wait, Alexa does it too? Nope. Turn Alexa off.
You're going in a soundproof closet, kid.
Right. But I'd give it to him. I can't. It made me laugh. I was like,
That's awesome.
Right, well, all right, you get this one pass. But anyways, I'm sorry. I know you got to run. You got a busy day, but we really appreciate you coming on and talking with us about this. I know there were 1,000 questions from people.
So what's the
when
bull?
They wrote in. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the bull.
Trailblazer. Because we are blazing trails.
Oh, nice.
That's our school mascot.
Is it?
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. A bull.
Yeah. We had a 10th grade student who, there was a competition last year of who could name our mascot. And one of our 10th graders, Brendan Hart, came up with the Trailblazer idea.
Yeah.
I love that.
Kudos, Mr. Hart. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And so appropriate. Sorry, I just keep looking at the bull.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
I know.
Yeah, that's killer.
That's very cool. So blue and white.
Blue and white.
Blue and white.
All right.
I love it.
So just one more time to close out the website and how people can register or contact if they need more info, all that good stuff.
Yes, until the end of April. The website is rcso.rcschools.net or Google search Rutherford County Virtual School. And there's tons of information on there. There's videos, there's Q&A, there's all sorts of good stuff on there. And
if they have a specific question, is there a way to contact?
They can call us or email us, and we would be happy to talk to anyone.
And your direct cell phone number, I'm just kidding, is, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But cool. Well, thank you again very much. We really appreciate it.
Us.
Yeah, not a problem. We'll have to have you back on again and do some updates, especially with some students like we talked about.
Yes, for sure. We'd love it.
All right. Well,
hey, I'm
go ahead.
Real quick. I'm going to give a quick shout out to our friend Trent Denson back there behind the scenes. Spread the Positive Network. I mean, this is it, y'all. This is spreading the positive, because I didn't know half of this stuff. And to hear the good stuff that's going on, the way that we're accommodating students that need it, or like it makes their lives better. Right. And they still accomplish what they need to accomplish. And you guys blazing that trail and doing those things. This is what Spread the Positive is about. So
there you go.
Good job, y'all. Good
job, Trent. He's over there. Wait, Trent, you missed it. Oh, there you go. Nice. Cool. All right, cool. Well, we'll cut it there. I can talk today, I swear.
Cheers. Let's do this.
Awesome. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate it, and go put a smile on somebody's face today. See you on the next one.